Hello, YouTube and fellow resellers. My name is Kevin, the Stoic Reseller. I'm back at you with the final conclusion on if you can still scale eBay. And if you're new here, I buy new and used clothing. I sell on eBay and Poshmark. I give you all of my metrics, all of the transparency you can ever ask. I'm about as real as it gets. If you're into that kind of content, where it's just data-driven results, data-driven selling, and I teach you a bunch of new brands I find, all that jazz, all that fun stuff. If you're into that, comment down below, subscribe, share my videos, and let's jump right into it. So if you haven't been following, I have about 4-ish videos on this. It's basically is the new eBay. What a lot of people struggle with is sales and metrics, and things aren't the way they should be on eBay, and the list kind of goes on. And there's no clear definition as to what may or may not be happening, and it's just kind of left up to people to figure it out. And one of the things that happened, so what started this off was my wife got laid off in mid-February, and so instead of her going through the corporate mumbo jumbo again and dealing with all that nonsense, I told her, well, let's see if we can scale eBay and Poshmark and see if we can get you to the point where you're a stay-at-home mom. And so she kind of caught on real quick. She does the pictures and shipping. But, it actually gave me an opportunity to talk about it, to see if this is something that legitimately can continue to happen. So to create certain variables and to try to eliminate certain variables, I guess, and see if this actually worked. Starting in pretty much the next week of that February, we started listing 18 items, which was a 50% increase in total listings. At this time, I was not promoting any listings. So we would basically go 18. I did that for 2 weeks. What was interesting was the first week we saw a jump of about 20 to 25% in total impressions, page views, and sales kind of stayed slightly higher. It was like a 13% increase. Not exactly what you wanted to see on a 50% increase in total listings. After that, we started 24 items. And that also started the period of time where I started to promote my items. Started promoting my items, you can see here, on March 10th. And, oh no, it isn't. It was March 11th. And so, again, if we're just kind of recapping this. So on March 11th, I started 24, it was when I started promoting. This is also the moment in time when we started doing 24 items per day. And so, that's a pretty significant amount of data here. Now, I turned on promotions for items that are 30 days and older, and it's only 2.1%, guys. 100%, that's all I'm doing. That's all I'm ever going to do, because all I'm trying to do is just give my items just an additional bump in visibility. Whatever promoted listings is going to provide me, that's what I'm hoping it does. And then as you can see, it didn't start off so hot. And then all of a sudden, it just started kicking into high gear. I have no idea what happened here. The only thought I have here, we'll get into my learnings, but I just kind of recapping here again. So, we've been doing this 24 items per day for quite a while. And, we've only had really one dud of a day on eBay, that is. I'll share my Poshmark stats as well. But yeah, you can see here, almost immediately, it just boom, boom. Before, when I was doing everything by myself and I was listing about 10 to 12 items per day, my goal was about $200 to $250 in sales. That's what I would consider a really good day. And you can see, there were days where I'd have really good days, and there were days that would just be very mediocre. But you can see, geez, it's like almost immediately sales just went into high gear. March 20th was weird, but then it just, look at that. And then it just kept going. And then just to be fair, the last half of the month, typically between probably around the 24th through the end of the month and into the beginning of the month are my slowest times of the month. And to be fair, this is numbers I would never get. I was lucky to get 200 towards the end of certain months. this is pretty indicative of what I normally would see at the end and the beginning of the month. I mean, you could see here, it's just crazy. And then also for fairness, this week and next week, I'm only listing 15 items a day because I take the last week of every month off so that I can spend time with the family. And it just so happened to fall on Easter, which was awesome. So, very interesting, guys. So let's go straight into the metrics. So the flow of the video is going to be the metrics, what I learned, and what I'm hoping to adjust to make this process more efficient, and then the final conclusion. So we will go to traffic, and really what I want to show is perfect. It's perfect to do this at the end of the month because I don't have to do anything else. So you can see here, March 11th was when I started promoting my items. You can see, it was pretty mediocre. I mean, these were starting to be month over month positive in terms of organic views. I mean, you can see I was 50% more listings per day than I was the same time period in February. And then you could see right away, I mean, I got a huge jump. And you could see it's actually, there's kind of like an ebb and flow, which is, I mean, like when you start to get down, it's the Wednesdays. I've really come to notice that the middle of the week is kind of the worst part. Fortunately for me, I know there's been a lot of talk about shaving of impressions and page views, that people are getting a very consistent amount of page views and impressions every day. For me, I haven't encountered that. I mean, you could see, it's there's a variance here. There's very small variance, right? I mean, like 543 to 564 total page views and 613, and it hovers between about 540 to about 620, or some days 700. I mean, I don't see that, and I haven't really. I mean, you could see I used to see that, but I also used to list the exact same amount of items every day. And what's interesting is, like I said, this week I've been listing 15. My store has been growing. Today was the first day that the store shrank, and but yeah, it's really interesting to see this kind of data because now I'm at a full 100% difference in amount of items overall, total listed, that is. So it's very strange. It's actually very encouraging. We can see, I mean, sales are up crazy amounts. Here's page views if you're curious. Page views are up 55.6%. And the external page views, which is also way up. Now, this has a lot to do with promoting. eBay mentioned their last update that standard promoted listings will give you a bump in offsite, I guess, viewership, offsite, like the ability to be found offsite easier. So it does include offsite ads, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's been a long day, okay? I'm tired. But page views, yeah, so this page views is important. I mean, it's up 55.6%, which is really good. That's really what I want to do. Quantity is up 64% month over month, which is also exactly what you want to see. I mean, maybe you'd want that a little bit higher, but being up 64% in sales month over month is pretty astounding. So as you can see here, one of my predictions was that this non-search impression was going to be 90% of my impressions. I can see that is not the case. We're a full, about 20, not 20 days. We're about actually right at 20 days total, for being promoted, and you can see, I mean, we're still hovering around 10% of our total impressions by placements being in the top 20, which is pretty crazy when you start to think, I mean, if you start comparing this to yours, if you promote, typically this is very small in terms of the overall percentage of impressions. But this is also something that's really interesting. This percentage for me has kind of stayed, like it's dropped, but it stayed strong at 23.9%, which is very also interesting. And my non-search impressions, we all know that this is going to go up, and we'll figure out how to use this better. If we're getting this many impressions, I want to learn how to use this better. I know Polish Pete's out there going, just watch my videos. I know how to make these impressions since the sales. And trust me, Polish Pete, I am watching your videos because I want to learn how to use the 66.4% of my total impressions to be a tool. But anyways, but you can see, I mean, month over month, I mean, this is the biggest. I mean, if you take this out, the biggest growth factors here, and getting those top 20 search impressions up that high is pretty significant. You know, it's pretty astounding when I look at all this. Okay, and if you're curious, my organic impressions is up 85.2%. So don't believe that the overall major success of my store is because of promotions. 85.2% of my organic impressions, my organic went up, and it's still 57.5%. So I'm still getting more organic impressions than I am promoted impressions, which is pretty insane when you think about it. But page views, I mean, this is what's important, and it's up 55.6%. And that's ultimately what you want to see. And that almost kind of matches the total sales here. I mean, right? Like, where's my sales? 64%. So I'm doing something right. Now let's go back here. Now we kind of seen the sales. One thing I wanted to show, just so I'm being full transparent, is the promoted listings tab. A lot of you like to know these numbers and the ROAS and all these interesting. You can see my average ad rate, 2.1. So in fairness, in 20 days, I've had 16 promoted sales. I've paid $12.47 in ad fees. Not very much, guys. And I've made $593.46. Now, in fairness, we could take a couple interesting notes here. I am really curious to see. Let's just pull up one of these old things. We're not going to save it. So all I want to do is we're going to do this live just so you can see what I do. So we had 16 sales. That's not necessarily important. And we had 593.46. Oops, what happened there? Okay, 593.46. My cost of goods is now $964. So we'll do all this math here in a second. This was up to 28.4, and I'll have this all updated tomorrow, I'm hoping. So what I'm doing here, guys, is giving you the total profit, right? Because I think a lot of people understand that ROAS isn't the true amount of sales or profit per item, right? So this is saying that for every dollar I spent in ad fees, I'm making $47.59. That's not 100% accurate. So we got this over here. We're going to go ahead and pull up our handy dandy calculator. So we got 9.64 times 16, which is $154. 154.24. My average cost of goods is 28.4%, so 593.46 times 0.284, which is 168.54. And then you take a 593.46 times what I charge myself for taxes, which is 89.02 cents. Okay, so let's see what we got going on here. So we have 593.46 minus 154.24 minus 168.54 is 270.68 minus 89.02. It's $181. And now if you're asking me why I'm not minusing the $12 here, is because that's already been taken into effect. So with the average sales cost, all of that adds up overall, okay? So I essentially have paid $12. And if you want to get super technical here, so this $12, so we have 12.47 divided by 181.6, which, oops, that's not proper math. 1247. So basically for every dollar of ad spend, clean profit after all fees and everything taken out, I made $14.57 per dollar that I spent on eBay. So, I mean, I know this, and this is the thing that I'm trying to get people to understand. I fully understand that not everyone's going to have the same experience, and that the variables are significantly different for each person because we don't sell the same stuff. And to be honest with you, I understand we don't sell in the same categories even. So this may be very unique to clothing, but the fact of the matter is, I cannot fully determine or actually kind of rule out that this isn't viable for every category if done properly. It's been a long road. If you didn't watch my last video, it's been a 7-month journey to understand how to basically be better at reselling. It's been like a crazy journey of learning the ins and outs of everything and understanding, understanding how to do this better. And it's something that everyone should learn how to do. And, it's kind of doing that breakdown right there kind of opened my eyes a little bit more too, that if I wasn't promoting and I didn't pay this $12.47, I would have left $181 in 20 days on the table of profit, clean profit. Now you think to yourself, what could you use $180 right now? Let me know down in the comment section. What would $180 do? How would it change your life? Okay? And mind you, this is a small sample size. I know if I increased my ad rate, I could probably make more sales, but I'm just don't need to right now. One of the things I was really concerned about was if I was going to be in this like honeymoon phase, because I know once I started it up, you saw the immediate rise after 2 days of shocking the algorithm. You saw the immediate rise of just sales. It just skyrocketed. But as I just showed you, probably 97% of my total sales are still organic. And and $180 of clean profit may not sound like a lot to people, but think about what you can use. $180 in today's world. I know it may not go as far as $180 3-4 years ago, but $180 right now could probably pay your gas bill for the entire year or month. So we'll move on from that. Now we'll go into what I have learned. So some key things that I've learned: doubling everything, basically going to 24 items per day. The first thing I learned is it's very exhausting, and I need to have a better system overall. And my wife and I were working it out a little bit. It's a challenge. When you go from working by yourself at 10 to 12 items a day, and you had that routine, and I was able to get all of it done in the morning, to now we're doing 15 this week, but realistically we're going to get back to that 24 items per day. And when I think of the process, it's like, how do I make this simpler for her and I? And it's still something I'm working on because it is challenging. The process itself is significantly different than what I was doing a month and a half ago. Another thing I've learned overall is that it is exhausting, and partially because I'm doing so much sourcing. If I want to maintain the same level that I'm at, I have to source at least 3 times a month. And that requires driving 4+ hours away, getting a hotel room, staying the night, things like that. Guys, if you want to make this work, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do to make it work. Okay? So right now, one of the most important things in my life is to make sure that my wife is able to stay at home and be a mother to my son. And that to me is super important, and I'm willing to make this sacrifice for however long it takes for us to be able to do what we need to do. And one of those things is we're trying to pay off all of our debt, or the majority of it, and we want to start saving and buy a house by the end of next year. So this may not be as temporary as I think it may be, but we'll get where we want to be, and it's a small sacrifice to make sure that our financial future is secure. And, I'm not too concerned with how the economy is working right now. It's not important to me, because people still want to buy stuff at a good price. And that's just that. The other thing that I've come to kind of, I guess, come to expect is, what is it, Biggie Smalls back in the day? I mean, if most of you guys don't know, I'll be 35 this year. So I'm a 90s kid. And that Mo Money, Mo Problems song came out. And that's kind of what this is. It's the more listings you have, the more problems you have. I mean, I can't tell you how many questions come about, how many lowball offers I get on a daily basis listing 24 items a day. It is crazy. It's so mind boggling to me that it's not even like it's double from what it was. Okay. So this is the weird thing that I've come to learn, is that it's not a direct percentage, right? So I don't increase my listings by 100%, and then sales and solds, like sold totals, sales amounts, increase by 100%. The amount of offers increase, the amount of everything. No, it's actually much greater than that. From my experience, I've learned that the questions come in at least another. I probably receive about 150% more messages per day than I did prior to increasing the listings. I also am allowed to send offers at a significantly higher pace than I've ever seen in my life. There are videos, I mean, look at this. It's been 5 minutes and it increased by one. Every time I log into eBay, there is more items, more offers. I'm now waking up to at least on average 1 to 2 sales and about 2 to 3 offers. And that has been the average for the last 2 weeks. And I'm dead serious. I know there's some people that don't see any offers come in. There's nothing happening. But I see that all the time now. And it's a pleasure. It's honestly a privilege and something that I'm not going to take for granted. And then the last thing I learned, and this kind of builds on the last video a little bit, was because I have to pick up so many items, and the way this is going to have to work in the future is weeks 1, 2, and 3, we're going to stay strict at 24 items. All the overflow will be kept for the last 2 weeks, like the last week of the month and the beginning of the month, because of me taking that week off. I'll have to spread over the listings for 2 weeks. Is that I have to learn more brands, more like the intricacies of brands, So there's been like J. Crew is a brand that I've done a lot of research on. Bonobos, what's another brand? Brooks Brothers, Ralph Lauren. There's like all these brands you see literally all the time. There's pieces within those brands that sell great, right? So that's what I'm looking at. I've learned to be better overall at sourcing. One of my goals for this year was to get my average buy cost down to under $9, and that's been steadily dropping every time I go up. So that's another thing, is just learning how to manage and watch my buy costs a little bit more. And then I've also kind of enhanced my route. I've learned what stores are better to go to and which ones aren't. So, yeah, it's just it's a steep learning curve. And what I'm hoping to do in the next month or so is to understand how to do the process more efficiently. Because right now we get it done, but it's highly inefficient, and like if anything happens, it kind of derails it. And I kind of want to get to the point where that doesn't happen either. So, I told you I would show you the Poshmark stats. So let's get to the Poshmark stats here. Closet Insights. Okay, so here's for the entire month of March. We have been having a very strong month. If you're curious of the prices, you can see Lululemon actually does the best on Poshmark, followed by Nike and Prana. Prana is something I literally find every single time I go up there. So Patagonia, cool. You can see it's just like it's all like brands that are kind of in demand on eBay, but there are some that do way better on Poshmark than they do eBay. Like Marine Layer. I don't find Marine Layer all the time, but I know that it's odds are it's going to sell on Poshmark before it sells on eBay. But you can see like even Under Armour, Roark's another brand that does way better on Poshmark than eBay. Just something I don't find very often. But yeah, I mean, let's see. What's the other brand that I've come to? Prana, yeah, Prana and Lululemon I've been picking up a lot more because it sells in greater quantities. Um, but yeah, so you can see here, um, I don't have access to the promoted listings on eBay, or I'm sorry, on Poshmark. So I don't have that benefit. But you can see here, like you can see the middle of the month, we seem to knock it out of the park. And then we had a couple really dud times this last week, or the week prior. And, we had some strong days, but I mean, like some really below $100 days. But then this week has been really strong. Today's way strong, which is surprising. So yeah, there's that, guys. I mean, Poshmark. I mean, for someone who was very hesitant to cross list until December, uh, having a $6,000 month on Poshmark is pretty crazy, guys. This is between my success on eBay and Poshmark recently. I've also been able to get you guys to about 700 plus subscribers now, and sometimes you just get humbled and you start questioning, um, is what you do worth it? And recently, you guys, between the conversations we've had and all that, it's been great. I really appreciate everything that you guys do. Every time you comment, put that like button. I mean, it's just amazing that someone wants to listen to some guy who doesn't take care of his beard and is a Miami Dolphins fan. It's just kind of amazing to me, and I really appreciate you all. But so let's get into the kind of, I don't know, I guess the end in the moral in the whole goal of this entire experiment. So is eBay still scalable in the new eBay or in this new market? And I think the data that I have shown you is very conclusive. And it's 100%. It's still scalable if done properly. It's just you have to put in the effort. You have to put in the time, and you have to stay consistent at doing that. I think the journey, my last video explained a lot of my thoughts and my kind of what I got wrong and right. But the data is the data. Ben Shapiro says it all the time. Facts don't care about your feelings. The only difference here is, yes, the facts of the matter is the sales have skyrocketed. The sales are there for me. The page views, the impressions, the traffic, everything is just finally working it out. Knock on the wood that it continues to stay in this trajectory. I'm not paying much in promoted fees, but I'm getting the bonus of all the additional placements, all the additional push in traffic. I'm getting all of this for such a little price. And so, yes, guys, 100%. End of the series. This is, it's 100% still positive, guys. There's no way you can argue with me, at least in the clothing category, that you still cannot scale eBay. Now, is there a finite growth? That to me, when I think about it, is very possible. I do very much believe so that there is a finite ability or finite amount of growth you can get on eBay. In my opinion, it's probably once you get around 50 items a day would be my guess. I think if you watch Tech and Sports, he used to list quite a bit on eBay. He's dropped it down. I know he was way over 200 at one point with like 5 or 6 employees or something like that. And but I just think nowadays, I mean, yeah, you could probably still do that. I'm just not sure if eBay has the capacity to do what is necessary at that level anymore. I'm hoping someone here who has eons more experience than me, who has done this in the clothing category, will tell me, hey, it's still working out for them. Maybe it is, maybe then it's not. I don't know. But based on my data, based on the numbers I just showed you, based on the solds, I mean, look, my last 90 days is 51.7% up. eBay is 100% scalable. I think if you put in the time and effort, you can 100% do this. I still believe it could be a full-time endeavor. It's just, do you have the knowledge? Do you have the experience? Do you have the time? That's a big deal. Do you have the time? And do you have the systems in place? That's the last thing I didn't tell you. I didn't learn. I didn't realize how woefully ill-prepared I was to double my listings. And I feel like I did it too quick. You needed to get the listings and you needed to gradually go up instead of just doing it incrementally. And then, basically 3 weeks in, I'm doubling my overall listings. That was a shock to my system, but we're working it out. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching. If you're new here, remember to like, subscribe, comment below, share the videos. And until the next video, guys, which should be tomorrow or Tuesday, please don't forget to rule the day.